Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the most exciting half hour in television, the Geno Auriemma Show.
God, the lights are killing me.
Your delicate eyes, huh?
Especially early in the morning.
Well, we do tape the show early in the morning, on a rainy morning, I would like to say, which is...
It's either raining or snowing when we come out here.
Yeah, exactly, which is
Never
not
pick
good
a
for the
good day.
hair. I was going to comment, but, you know. So, we haven't... It feels like we haven't been here in a while.
We haven't done a show in a while. We haven't.
You must miss.
Which I don't know why.
This exciting 30 minutes of
I don't know
your
why
life.
we choose to do some days and before some games and not before others.
I would imagine it's based on your schedule and the insanity of it.
Oh, okay.
Which is probably why we have to film at this ungodly hour in the morning. So let's work on that for next year.
And we're doing one next week too, right?
We're doing one Monday morning.
For Rutgers.
Yeah.
This is for West Virginia.
Yes, you better be careful at your Super Bowl party.
I know. I'm not even having one.
I know. Why not?
Probably because, you know, just too many things going on.
In this big, beautiful house now?
Yeah, well.
Next year.
We'll find some place to go and let them worry about it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the best part.
That is nice. Yeah, you don't have to worry about cleaning up, which I know you're so diligent on anyway. All right, well, we do have 3 games that I want to talk about. A lot of good things have happened. I mean, reverse order. Louisville was a fabulous game. DePaul was an unbelievable game. And going back to South Florida, where we'll start, a lot of good things have happened for your team in the last month, I'd say. Yeah,
there seems to be a kind of a pattern that we've fallen in. I think it's no coincidence that the way Renee Montgomery has played.
He looks so happy.
Well, I was happy just a minute ago, and then all of a sudden somebody. But it's no coincidence that as Renee Montgomery has progressed and as she's gotten a lot better, we've improved it tremendously as a team, and we're getting a lot of people involved. You know, you look at this, and Brittany, Barbara, Sade, we're really starting to find a lot of the things that we do.
Nice catch.
Yeah, that was a heck of a play right there. You know, I don't want to say we're, you know, peaking or any of that stuff, because you never know what that is or when that is, but we seem to be in a good kind of rhythm mentally and physically, where people are figuring out, you know, what's going to happen next before the fact instead of like after the fact. You know? So, you know, right now everything's, you know, moving along at a good pace. Well,
and it also seems that different people step up on different games, different moments when you need somebody.
Right.
It's not always like, you know, Anne's shot may not be, you know, as wonderful as it was early in the season, but she's doing other things, and then other guys are stepping up. Barbara, you know, Brittany was playing really well for a while there. Renee.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's taken opportunities to kind of contribute in their own way. You know, early, like you said, early on, it was Ann making every shot, Mel making shots from the perimeter, and we weren't getting anything inside. You know, now Barbara's being more productive, Brittany's being more productive, Sade's, you know, obviously really productive when she's in the game. So we're becoming much more well-rounded. You know, which people say, well, you know, Ann's not scoring as much, or Mel's not making. Well, you know, people aren't stupid. You know, when we play, like Louisville, you know, they're going to play Mel and they're going to play Ann, and that's it. They're not going to guard anybody else. So, you know, everybody else gets a lot of shots. So, you know, if you're going to be a good team, you have to be able to withstand someone taking 2 of your players out of the game.
Well, talking about a good team, you guys go into Chicago to play a DePaul team who was undefeated at home in like forever. And, you know, I guess Doug joked before the game that they had, you know, the longest home court winning streak for about 6 hours. They got it that day, and they had won 33 games. And the place, I mean, it was as fun an environment to be in as I can remember.
It was, and they've been good for a long time, you know. They're perennially one of the best, if not the best teams in the Conference USA. So when they came in, we knew how formidable they were, and they got up to as high as 10th in the country. And as you said, they hadn't lost, I think, in 33 or 34 straight games. It's a neat little environment to play in on campus.
You couldn't have squeezed one more person in that place.
No, and Kara Smith is one big body to try to play against.
She's bigger than I thought she was, man.
You know, and there's Mel gets hit in the head. She needed 3 stitches after the game.
I didn't realize she got stitches. I saw her get hit.
That's a great pass right there to Barbara Turner.
Yeah.
No foul called. Yeah, there's Mel playing as hard as she always does. We really made some great plays down the stretch. We played with a lot of energy. We played with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You know, we get a big lead, and then it's funny. We're up 14 at the half, and I remember at halftime I thought, you know, we're playing a little too fast because it was kind of crazy.
It was helter-skelter.
Yeah, it was. And I said, that's the way DePaul practices. You know, they want to play helter-skelter. I said, I think we're okay playing like that, but I think we're better playing at a little different. You know. We come out the second half, and we're like, yeah, coach, that's pretty cool, man. Let's scale this thing back a little bit, baby. And they score like, you know, 10 straight. Next thing you know, timeout. You know, hey, guys, pick it up. You know, you start screaming at them. So I think we withstood a pretty serious challenge here at DePaul, and I loved the way we responded to it.
Well, it was a perfect lead-in to the game at Louisville when Louisville had played DePaul pretty tough the week before.
They lost by 4. Mm-hmm.
And you guys go down there, but feeling pretty good about yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And Louisville played, I mean, phenomenal basketball and really challenged you guys in every way.
Well, same thing. You know, we score, you know, we score a lot of points in the first half. There you see what Sade does best, you know. Got away with a walk there.
And she did. I know. I said that watching the game.
But we were able to put points on the board.
Nice day.
And the thing you have to do against Louisville is score, because they are really, really difficult to defend, and they're going to get their points. And I thought it was the best game that Renee Montgomery has played in all the time that she's been at Connecticut. There's great ball movement right there, you know, around where we leave and we get a 3. But they are a very difficult matchup. I mean, they've got a lot of bodies. They've got a lot of athletic ability, great quickness. That's a great play right there.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there you go. We same thing. You know, we're up 14 at halftime. We go in and we come out and say, all right, we're going to run, you know, a play that we have. It's very, very simple. You know, Ann's going to end up with a 3. We come down, boom, boom, Ann gets a 3, knocks it in. We're up 17. You know, everybody's having, you know, hey, this is great. You know, where are we going to go eat after the game? And next thing you know, they score 12 straight.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-point game. So, you know, we've gotten pretty good at separating ourselves from other teams, but we've not gotten to the point yet where we can put it away. You know,
right.
And this one went down to the wire. Now, I don't know that we could have won this game. This is a great play right here.
That was huge.
Yeah, that got everybody excited right there. You know, Renee has done some unbelievable things this year, but none better than Sade. Sade's unguardable. You know, the only person that can stop Sade is me, because I don't put her in the game because she's too tired to function. But there's a great pass right there.
Yeah.
You know, we came out of a timeout and we said, Sade, you're either going to get a layup.
How about this play?
Oh, this is awesome.
I mean, the guts of this kid.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, that was a, you know, it's tie score, and then this play.
Yeah.
You know, where they've got everybody in. And you know what's funny? Right before that foul, Renee tried to get a timeout, and there she strips the kid.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And that just ended the game right there.
And then she ices the game with the free throws.
Yeah. That was pretty special that night.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a perfect case of someone just taking control of the game completely.
Right.
You know.
And I mean, for a freshman to do that.
Yeah. It reminded me of when we went down to Tennessee, when Sue's first trip down to Tennessee, and you know, everybody was anxious to see, you know, how, you know, she would play first time, you know, running the team, and I think she scored 25 points and just dominated the game, and it kind of propelled her, you know. So I hope it has the same impact on Renee.
Well, what I love about Renee's game is that so often this year she'll make a mistake, and then, although she's one of the few kids who's shooting very well from the free throw line, but she'll make a mistake on one end of the floor and then immediately get it back on the other end.
Yeah. she plays her best defense after she screwed up.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she kind of feels bad about it.
Right.
If she doesn't make any screw-ups, she generally tends to do nothing. Because she's one of those kids.
So you want her to mess up offensively.
She's very passive. You know, like, you know, whatever. Just come down and pass. You know, like a bunch of games, she would take 1 shot, 2 shots.
Well, the Tennessee game,
no shots. You know, I said to her, I said, you don't do anything. You know, so if she comes down and turns the ball over or whatever, she runs down the other end and she tries to get it back and then gets in. I just wanted her to be involved in the game, and the other day was a perfect example of what she could do.
Well, some kids, you know, you need to poke them and get them ready, but nobody likes fire poked.
Yeah, no, poke. You know, that's all I do when I go to practice. You know, then people say, why you yell at this guy? Why you yell at that guy? Why you yell at that guy? Yeah. Well, because I try talking nice to them. Hey, Renee, you know, I really think you should shoot the ball more. Okay, coach. You know, come on.
All righty. So here we are, Barbara Turner. We've talked about her a little bit, but we haven't gotten into great detail about just, I think, how she's matured and developed, and she's doing so many different things that I don't think last year she would have been capable of doing.
Right.
But has been invaluable, I think, to this team.
Yeah, you know, Barbara's been able to. You got to get rid of that picture. I can't.
It's
look at
hysterical.
That. You know, I think one of the keys is her free throw percentage is up, her field goal percentage is up, her points are down.
Yeah.
Which is neither here nor there. She's not taking as many shots, and that's good for our team because that means we have more people that can score. But she's leading more, and that's more important.
You can see it on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
That's more important than points scored. You know, to be able to make a play that doesn't show up in the box score, to be able to do something that is only reflected in the locker room or on the bench. You know. So to me, those are the things that Barbara's been able to do this year that have helped us be a better team that seniors are supposed to do it at the University of Connecticut.
How about Brittany Hunter? I mean, we haven't talked about it here on the show. She got hurt. Were you in Chicago when she
in practice before we left for the trip.
Her knee just kind of
just a reaction to, you know, the wear and tear of it a little bit, and you know, the doctors had told us going in, you know, don't be surprised if, you know, there's just going to be some times when she just can't play. Right. And you know, it's just part of her you know, rehab. You know, it's not going to be, you know, you just jump back in it, you know, 100% and not miss a beat. We've gotten a lot out of her, and she's given us a lot, and I think. And
it's unfortunate that the timing of this injury, because she's really coming along.
Yeah. Well, she played yesterday in practice, which is good. Yeah, and she looked pretty good, actually. She looked really good.
So you think she'll play in the game tonight?
Well, we'll see what happens today and then shoot around tomorrow. Okay. But right now, if you ask me right now, based on yesterday, I would say she's playing tomorrow.
Okay. At least today. 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, well, whatever. However many.
Good.
You know, if we can get 20, 20. If we get 10, 10.
Well, talking about another one of your seniors, as we were just talking about Barbara, Ann Strother, who just was named on the mid-season wooden list. Talk a little bit about Ann and what she means to this team.
Well, we've been able to, I think, surround Ann this year with more complementary type players. And it's funny because that's what Ann is. Ann is the ultimate complementary type player who's now being put in a position where she has to be the go-to player. And for the most part, she's done all the things we've asked her to do, and she's played that role about as well as you can play it. But given her personality type and given her body type, it's difficult for her to be all those things because she can't take the punishment, you know, that Dee used to be able to take. You know, so it's hard for her. We've put her inside to get her away from some of the quick guards that have, you know, tried to deny her the ball. Well, it's good on offense because she gets free. It's bad on defense because she's getting killed in there by the big guy she has to defend.
Right.
You know, so we're trying to finagle different ways to keep her away from all the physical stuff. And Ann makes big plays when she has to make them. That's all I know.
Yeah, she does. And I have seen her come out of herself a little bit this year, trying to be more of a leader, and which is hard with her personality to be more vocal and animated. And she's done, I think, a pretty incredible job of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. Well, we do. We're doing the stats, I think, now to show a little bit about Ann Struther and the Wooden candidate. And look, I mean, check this out. Only one other player in UConn history has those gaudy numbers.
Well,
who would that be?
Who that is? I mean, you know, it's if you ask people, they would tell you that when they name the best players ever at Connecticut, they'll name a lot of players before they name Ann.
Isn't that true? Now it's Ann and Diana Taurasi who are the only two who have all of those numbers and above.
Correct.
And I don't think you're right. I don't think people would automatically mention Ann Struther. I mean, you mentioned Rebecca Lobo and Carrie Bascom and some of these other guys. And
you'll mention all the people that were great players, All-Americans, you know, Players of the Year and all that. But Ann has been there from day one, and she's been consistent.
Yeah.
And that has probably been her biggest strength. You know, she hasn't been the kind that's going to get out and get 30 and be spectacular and make it look flashy. You know, but at the end of every season, you look back and you say, wow, you know, she's done a lot in a lot of areas.
Well, an interesting article that I read, and I actually had gotten this email yesterday, was from Rutgers, this issue of an apology. Here is this lovely letter with a nice red R. I don't know which way I want to show it. But it is a very long letter from their athletic director apologizing to you and the university for the way they treated whatever you want to call happened last year at the end of that Rutgers game. So I think, knowing what happened myself, I was glad to finally see some kind of apology because nothing ever was said about it. So, and I know
I think it says at the bottom there that the Big East would request that we not.
I was just going to say, you're not allowed to say anything on this, but I wanted to make mention of it because I think it's important that it finally happened. So, and then there's also a comment from Jeff Hathaway at UConn, and that you appreciate the apology, and so good.
And you know, my personal feelings are. Since I'm not allowed to speak on it.
I didn't know if you were having a seizure. I wasn't sure.
I was.
All right, now let's do questions. We have a lot of good questions I want to get to.
Yeah, I can't wait. I saw some of them.
Well, okay.
They continue to amaze me.
I know they don't. Quickly, before we do the questions, we do have this West Virginia game coming up.
Yeah.
And now, sadly, they lost their best player, Meg Bulger, tore her ACL, and that's just a sin. She's a great player to watch, a good kid. But then, without her, they go and they beat DePaul at home. Yeah,
they beat DePaul, and you know, sometimes after an injury, you know, the other kids who have stood around watching a great player play great get an opportunity to play, and they're inspired. And Mike Carey's a really good coach.
He is.
He does a great job.
He was the coach of the year, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, and you know, check his act out on the sidelines. I mean, he's one tough dude, and I love him. I've gotten to know him pretty well, and he does a fabulous job with his team. And they're going to come in, you know, in our building with or without Meg, and they're going to be a handful.
Well, it's funny. I read somewhere that a lot of his former players, and he coached men a lot.
Yeah.
Where a lot of his former players will come back and say, "Man, you're really soft now, Coach. What's your deal?" How many of us have said that to you? Man, you're a wuss nowadays.
I'm hanging around women all the time. You know, we come in, you know, like a lion, and then we go out like a lamb.
Beat you down.
Just get worn down, man. Just worn down.
All right, now on to questions.
Go ahead.
Since you're always mentioning how introverted the players are on the present team, why do you continue to recruit introverts, or do they become introverts after being at stores and introduced to your coaching style?
Yeah, that's what happened to you and Megan and Svetlana and Swin. You know, some kids are introverts because they are. I'm trying to recruit talent.
It's hard to know that when you recruit them.
The rules have changed. You don't get a chance to know the kids as well.
Yeah,
you don't have as much
really
contact
hard
with them.
Yeah.
So you don't know. You know, and you know, right now we happen to have a bunch of those kids.
Right. And this is the most you've ever had, I think.
Yeah, and it's probably the most we'll ever have. We got a group coming in next year that won't shut up. So it goes in cycles.
Okay, why did you recruit Cassie Kearns and Tahira Williams and then refuse to give them meaningful minutes?
Just to punish them.
What is wrong with you?
Because they could have gone to any other school and played a lot, but I forced them to come here and sit on the bench. You got 12 guys on the team. How are you going to play everybody all the time?
Well, that's what people don't realize, and you've said this before.
They'll say, put somebody on. Well, when I put somebody in, I got to take somebody out.
Yeah.
And then when I take somebody out, you know, you either are doing something that's right for the kids or right for the team, or you're not. So they'll get their turn.
And they're two great kids.
Great kids. Great kids.
All right, I hate to be a pest, but I'm still not at all satisfied with the explanations given for limiting Sharday Houston's playing time. Her faults are magnified in a manner that seeks to make perfection the enemy of the merely very good. No other player's errors, and they all make them, are used against them in the way Sharday's errors are. It is glaringly obvious that Sharday is the team's leading scorer and rebounder as a ratio of minutes played. If Sharday played as much as Mel Thomas, then it is safe to assert Sharday would be averaging more than 20 points per game and more than 10 rebounds.
Okay,
in other words,
that's enough. That's enough.
You wanted me to read this one.
No, yeah, but I'm saying that's enough. That's enough. First of all, if Sharday could play as many minutes in a game as Mel Thomas, don't you think I'd have her out there as long as Mel Thomas?
And why
Plus,
can't she?
Because she gets tired too fast. Now, she does have a condition.
What does she have?
She has asthma.
Okay.
And sometimes, earlier on, it's getting better, she wouldn't take her medicine.
Okay.
So now, you know, we're forcing her to do it. And it's getting better.
Okay.
But that's not all of it, you know. If she could play that many minutes, you're right. I would play her 30 minutes. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, she'd make your job a lot easier.
Right, exactly. But there comes a time when we call a play where I like to have everybody in there who knows the play that we're running. And that sometimes doesn't include her. So whenever she's in there, we have to run plays that Sharday knows.
Right. Which is, for her, isn't it usually just catch the ball and go to the basket?
Catch the ball and go to the basket. That's exactly right.
And, you know, 9 times out of 10, she makes it, so it's hard to fight with that.
I mean, you know, if trust me, whoever wrote that letter, if Sharday was in the same shape as Mel Thomas and knew what we were doing like Mel does, she'd play as many minutes as Mel.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll happen.
Let's hope it does for your sake.
Let's hope it does for my sake.
Why at the end of every game, with even a minute left, do the women stand there and hold the ball until the buzzer ends the game? I believe that any sporting event should be played until the time is out. Nothing more frustrating to watch than the game come to a halt when there is time at the clock. The men's team also does this. This never used to happen years ago.
A woman wrote that.
Yes.
How'd I know that? Because you know what? With a minute left or 40 seconds, actually, it's not a minute left. It's under 30 seconds left.
Right.
And you're up by 30. The last thing you want to do is come down and try to get an open three and make it 33 so you can rub it in.
Right.
You know, it's like that kid that scored 113 points the other day.
Yeah.
You know, if you need 113 points because you win the game 140 to 137, then you need 113 points.
Right.
When you score 113 points and your team wins 137 to 32.
Yeah, you're a pig.
Somewhere along the line, somebody's got, you know, their priorities out of whack here.
Right. Now, why is it in the women's game when a foul shot's being taken, the opposing players line up in the second position from the basket? In the men's games, they're in the first position. Why is that?
Because we're trying to move people away from the basket to create less of a rugby style scrum when the ball goes up. If you watch a free throw when the shot goes up, there's like 7 fouls right there on that shot.
Right.
And if you move people away from the basket, it kind of alleviates some of that. Plus, when you're the defensive team,
so you're inside position.
you're the inside. If you're down lower, you're pushed underneath the basket.
Right.
You can't rebound the ball. So this actually gives the defensive team
a little bit of an
a better opportunity to rebound the ball.
Why did Barber or the other taller players bring the ball up the floor? And what kind of situations is this an advantage? I like this question because I think it's a good move. You've done it a couple times.
Yeah, well, a lot of times, like we have Sharday inbound because she's one of our best ball handlers.
Right.
And what happens is a lot of times teams will try to, which is what we do too to other teams, they'll try to keep your point guard from getting the ball. So you can waste a lot of time getting them the ball, or you can just have, you know, a big guy bring it up, and it kind of gets us going into our offense a little bit quicker.
Right. And sometimes, like if you're either the point guard or the two guard has really good defenders on them, why not let a big guy bring the ball up the floor and not turn it over?
Right. That's why we always have an inbounder who's a good ball handler.
Brittany Hunter's eligibility status. What is the deal? Explain how.
She played as a freshman at Duke.
Right.
Sat out last year here.
Right.
and now has 3 years of eligibility, this year and 2 more.
Okay, so you do get 4.
Yes.
You get 5 years to complete 4.
You get 5 years to complete 4, correct.
Okay, real quick, the RPI index, can you explain that in like 20 seconds?
Mr. RPI can't explain that in 20 seconds. It's a combination of wins, losses, who you play, who your opponents play, your record, their record. So the better teams you play and the better teams they play.
And how does it affect the rankings?
Well, the rankings, the polls are irrelevant. That's just voting.
Okay.
When the NCAA tournament comes, the RPI is a big factor in where you're seated.
All right, very good. Well, folks, thanks for watching. I'm sorry to say we are out of time. Enjoy the West Virginia game. We'll see you very soon. We'll see you next week.